All right, here we go. Brett Mason, Jamie Thomas, Bammers and Barners in the house, getting ready to talk about the Iron Bowl. The week that we've waited for all year is finally here. War Eagle, how you doing, buddy?
Roll Tide, brother. How are you?
I'm good. I'm not great, man. I was hoping. I'm still hoping for a good Iron Bowl, but if you 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, I was really counting on a good Iron Bowl. It seems like it could not be quite as great now, but we'll see how it turns out. You got to be feeling probably better about it than you were 6 weeks ago.
I don't know, man. I just don't know what to think, especially after they come out flat again this past weekend. I'm just not convinced. I still, I've told you this offline a few times. Still don't think Alabama is just that much better than Auburn. I mean, Alabama's, still a couple of 3-loss team, and I don't know, man. It just the Iron Bowl scares me. All that emotion. Auburn seems to be pumped up. There's a lot of talk coming out of Auburn right now. I'm worried about this game. I really am.
I'm going to pull a Nick Saban and let this bottle sit here and never drink from it the whole time. No, kidding. Well, I'll tell you.
You need a Coke bottle instead of that water bottle.
Well, yeah, you got to let the Coke bottle sit there while you drink from a different bottle during the whole thing.
Right.
I wonder how much Coke is paying them for that. It must be a pretty penny.
I don't know. They can pay me, and I'll stick one right here for the whole podcast.
I know, man. You can't get that kind of money. But look, if somebody with Buffalo Rock is watching the podcast, let us know.
Buffalo Rock, Coors Light, Miller Lite, Dos Equis, whatever. Dang
right. We'll set it up right in the corner. We'll make it big. We'll cover our faces. It won't be the bottle.
Talking bottle
So here's the thing. I think Alabama's a better team, and my diehard Auburn fans that are delusional, who never think anybody's better than Auburn, ever always jump on me and threaten to kill me. I do think Alabama's the better team, but I think more consistent. I think in the past 4 weeks, it was a reasonably consistent team. I don't think you can count the game against the dirty, rotten, cheating Catamounts, or the game against Samford, turn up for those games, man. They're never up for them. They're just. Especially when you come off some big games.
Even the players admitted it for Alabama. Some of them were a little more, not to the point about it. Some of them just flat out said, "Yeah, we were looking to head to Auburn. We've been thinking about this game for a year. We're ready to play them." It's not what Saban wanted to do going into this game. He really wanted this team to focus on getting better. And I think really once Western Carolina kind of come out and knocked them in the head a little bit, knocked them around, drove down the field. Granted, they had a fumble that was given to them that really shouldn't have been given to them. But when they put those points on the board and made it close there in the first quarter, I think the Bama team kind of woke up in the second quarter and realized, hey, we better take care of business.
Well, I tell you, I don't know if you saw Greg McElroy talking about the Iron Bowl on the SEC, wasn't SEC Nation, it's that other show that they have during the week. But he's one of the first people I've ever seen come out and admit that they do prepare for the next game. And first time having him, he didn't know it. He's like, they were playing some FCS division school, and the Iron Bowl was the following week, and he's like, he said, we were on the field practicing thinking, God, all these plays that we're learning are just awesome. We're going to kill this FCS school. And then he said the game came, and they didn't use any of those plays. So the coaches didn't say these are for the Iron Bowl, and he didn't realize it, but that's who they're preparing for. They're not preparing for the Catamounts. That's not who they practice for all week. And the same case with Auburn. Auburn came out slow. But my thing with Auburn was, I told you last week, I looked at the statistics, and they're hard to find too, man. Try digging up some statistics on an FCS team and see how easy that is to dig up. But I did, and, man, those teams are pretty solid. So I knew that if they could come in with some emotion and catch Alabama and Auburn off guard, that they could make it look like a game for a while. Because they're good. Both of those teams are pretty good for the league they play in. But anyway, we'll get past all of that and talk about a couple of other rivalry teams, and we'll talk a little bit more about the Iron Bowl. I want to talk about the two that I think are one that's going to matter and then one that interests me. The one that's going to matter, obviously, is the Egg Bowl. Way back at the beginning of the season, you talked about how this Mississippi team talk would be rubbish by the end of the year, and it almost is. Especially if you're Ole Miss. I mean, what is Ole Miss now? Granted, they lost one of their star players, but when when you only have one star player, you have no depth. What do you expect to happen? So, you see any chance of an upset there? I just don't see it happening. Not even that Mississippi State is all that great. Like we talked last week, I don't think any team in the SEC is as great as they have been in the past. But this Ole Miss team, they don't got a lot going for them right now.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is a decent football team. They've got some talent. Their biggest problem is Bo Wallace. Bo Wallace, 1 week can play absolutely lights out. He could have that game against Mississippi State, but the next week, I mean, he's he's horrible. He's just absolutely horrible. He'll throw 2 or 3 interceptions. He'll fumble the football. He really reminds me a lot of Brody Croyle back in the day when he was at Bama. Brody could have an absolute great game. He'd go 25 for 30 for 400 yards, 4 or 5 touchdowns, and the next week he'd throw 2 or 3 interceptions or fumble the ball when he didn't need to fumble the football. He's just not a good, consistent quarterback. He has a great arm. He doesn't do a good job of reading defenses under pressure. I think Mississippi State is a superior football team. Dak Prescott still, I think, deserves that Heisman talk. They're still a really good football team and still have a great chance of making the Final Four, even if they don't play for the SEC championship.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on all counts there. I mean, Mississippi State team is really a solid team. They're kind of a one-player team as well, in that Dak Prescott has to have a good game for them to look really well. But I mean, come on, against this Ole Miss team that's really struggling, I don't think that's going to be that much of a deal. I was trying to see if I could find the line real quick because I haven't looked at the line on that game. No, the line I'm looking at, the current line I'm looking at right now, Mississippi State is a 1-point favorite.
Really?
That's kind of interesting, man. I don't know where you come from that line. You got Alabama's at 9.5. I think that's ticked up from where they opened at around 7, so that looks right. Florida State, 10.5 over Florida. That's an interesting line. I see money in my future if that line stays like that.
Yeah, that's
anyway.
That's weird. I can't.
No, that's bizarre.
I can't see how that's only. Yeah, I'm speechless over that actually.
So this Florida game, I think, is going to be interesting. And look, I've never liked Florida. And I have been an FSU fan all my life, really. They're now my second team. Ever since I moved to Alabama, you got to pick Auburn or Alabama, and I picked Auburn years and years ago. And since I live here, Auburn is more in my blood. But FSU has always been my secondary team since I moved here. But I don't like Jameis Winston, so it's hard for me to pull for FSU. I just don't. I mean, it's like that thing that happened in the game with the refs, man. I heard Feinbaum today defending them, saying that he didn't mean to do them. Have you seen the video of him just grabbing the referee and just shoving him out of the way?
Yeah.
The ref didn't throw a flag, so who are we to say it was wrong? The ref did.
Well, Jimbo,
who are we to say?
Jimbo said after the game that Jameis didn't even realize that he had grabbed the referee. But that's typical Jimbo. He's always making excuses for Jameis Winston. According to him, Jameis is a great kid. And
that's why I root against him.
Is a wonderful citizen, and you know what? I hope this is Jameis's last year at Florida State because I like to pull for the Seminoles. As an AC, being a regional team that they are, I like to pull for them in games. When they're not playing Alabama, they're not playing Auburn, or they're playing anybody outside of the SEC. But it's just tough, showing them
hard
respect. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you my thoughts on this game, and I was watching this little piece of a snippet of an interview with Will Muschamp today, and I got to thinking about what's going on in this guy's head, man. He has nothing to lose, and unlike some other situations where you've seen some coaches maybe get let loose, his players still love him, man. They're ready to die for him. You hear those guys talk about Muschamp. So here's the deal: they want to send their coach out, right? Mm-hmm. They're gonna play hard, and they play, and he ain't got nothing to lose, man. He can come in there and do onside kicks from the first quarter. He can do trick plays from the second snap of the game. He don't care. What are they gonna do? Fire him? Look, I think FSU needs to be ready, man. I think they could easily throw the kitchen sink at FSU in this game, and who knows?
Yeah, I do too, and I think this is going to be the most physical game FSU has played all year too. I mean, these guys are going to line up, like
No
you said.
doubt.
They want to send Coach Boom out on a high note. He's already said if they made a bowl game, he wasn't going to coach in the bowl game. They want him to be a winner, and he deserves that. He deserves for these players to go out and leave everything they have on that field, and I think that's what they're going to do. And they're going to bust Florida State in the mouth a few times, and we're going to see how Florida State handles a pretty good SEC defense.
No, the defense is, look, being an Auburn fan, their defense is great. So FSU hasn't had to handle. I mean, you look at the supposed tough teams they played. As soon as I mean, I remember hearing about the Notre Dame game. Oh, they beat a real team, and then Notre Dame goes on to lose to. I mean, I don't even remember who it was now. They lost like two. Wow, they're a horrible team, and I mean, anybody that knew that watched them play knew they were a horrible team. And so they haven't played anybody. And like you said, Florida, if they got anything, they ain't got an offense, man. They don't have an offense. So I think that's why you're going to see trick plays. I think you're going to see some craziness on offense because he tries to put points on the board because he knows that his defense does actually stand a chance of stopping Winston, especially if they can get physical and punch them boys in the mouth a few times and take a little of their will away from them. Oh, absolutely. I don't care what the line is. I'm betting on Florida on that game because I like that game.
See, I think every person that is a college football fan that is not a Florida State fan will be pulling for Florida in that game this weekend. And you might want to say maybe even some of the Florida State fans are going to be pulling for Florida in that game this weekend just because, I think they're tired of Jameis also.
Yeah, well, I think he's gone because I think he likes doing what he wants to do, and he's tired of always having to hear crap from everybody. I think he's like, screw this, just I want a paycheck. So I don't think he'll be back, but we'll see what happens. So my final question on this, and a reminder, we got more Iron Bowl stuff coming this week, so this ain't it. I haven't discussed the 3 rivalry games that I care about. Best chance for an upset. Which one of these 3 rival games? Best chance for an upset this weekend?
I'm going to call Florida over Florida State. I like that matchup, and I think it's a good chance. Florida sends much champ out on a high note.
Well, until I looked at the odds in the Ole Miss game and saw that Ole Miss was actually the favorite, I would have said Florida too. But come on, how can you not? If that's going to be the line, how can you not pick that to be an upset? I don't think technically it'd be an upset because an idiot had to pick that line. No, it's 1 point. So Mississippi State is a favorite, but it's only by 1 point. So I don't guess that'd be an upset. All right, I'll go with Florida then. I think that's crazy. Much as I love my Auburn Tigers, I think it's gonna be tough for Bryant Denny to pull an upset there. And I'm pulling for Florida. God, it kills me as somebody who loves FSU. It kills me to say that. But come on, somebody make Jameis Winston sit down and shut up and send him on to the NFL.
And let's get them out of the playoff picture. Absolutely.
All right, we got more podcasts we'll be doing. One that'll be all entirely about the Iron Bowl coming up and some other things this week because we got Iron Bowl fever around here. So make sure, look, if you haven't subscribed, you can do it right. Probably it'll be right here. So if you click like right there, you can subscribe and you'll never miss
right
there you go. You'll never miss a video. Never miss one. You'll get a notification, and so anytime we do something interesting, you'll know about it. And we'll talk to you on the next one. War Eagle, buddy.
Roll Tide.